Welcome to West Virginia Beer Roads, a program all about beer from a West Virginia perspective. I'm your host, Charles Bachway. Today we're sitting in the middle of a hot summer in Charleston, West Virginia, and if it wasn't for the refreshment we receive from our local breweries, I'm not sure what we'd do. We're fortunate, though, here in Charleston to have 4 small brewery tap rooms to choose from in order to get that refreshment. As usual, I'm joined by my wonderful and today thirsty co-host, Aaron McCoy. Aaron, it's always a pleasure to be with you and learn more about our local craft beer culture.
I always enjoy recording our podcasts. I'm glad to be here. And joining us today to talk about the Charleston beer scene are 2 excellent additions to the West Virginia brewing community. We are here with the leaders of Fife Street Brewing in downtown Charleston, Derek and Lisa Godwin. Welcome back to West Virginia Beer Roads.
Thank you. We're happy to be here.
Yep, thanks for having us back.
I believe this is your 3rd time joining us on the podcast.
You would be correct, Aaron.
Well, we're always excited to have the 2 of you on with us, and we know that you'll help Charles and I better understand all of the things moving in the Charleston craft beer market. But before we get into any of that discussion, we have to sample some beer. Lisa and Derek, you have a beer for us to start with. Why don't you introduce it for our listeners?
Okay, the first one is the Blood Orange Wheat. And so basically what it is our Summer Street wheat base, yeast and everything that goes into that with some orange blood puree added to it. It's a Hefeweizen, strong on the front with some citrusy flavoring, and then it finishes with that blood orange puree taste as well. So I'll pass that out.
Okay.
And put it off a sample.
Let's give it a try.
And that's a 5% ABV, so it's very drinkable for the summer on a hot summer day.
It's got some beautiful color.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess that blood orange puts a lot of color in this otherwise Hefeweizen-based beer.
Correct.
Yeah.
Oh, that's very refreshing.
Yeah, I can see why it's a good summer beer.
Looks very well in a Poda cup.
Guaranteed.
Yeah, Lisa, she's talking about the what do you call public
Outdoor
drinking.
act.
Well, it's actually
Is it designated area?
It's a designated area.
Public
Public
designated.
outdoor.
I call it the
Designated
drinking area
Yeah.
because that's what it is.
Yeah.
But they do call it
Technically, it's designated.
Yeah, designated. Yeah, so that's the idea that you get those cups and you can take beer from inside your place outside onto the sidewalk and all in the designated area downtown.
Right.
Well, now that we're refreshed with a tasty beer, let's talk business. How has Fife Street summer been going so far?
Wow, we've taken a breath because we had the bike races, and then we had Memorial Day, and then we had Pride weekend, and then
Festival.
after that we had Festival has been going strong, and then after that we had
Regatta.
July 4th, Regatta. And so we've been kind of taking a breath. We've been very blessed. Charleston was humming. I want to give a big shout out to Mary Amy Goodwin for the regatta and how popular that was, and thank all the volunteers that helped with the bike races and make everything run smooth. I haven't heard of one big problem or issue with the entire events that happened. Have you?
No, the cycling was a huge thing here in Charleston. We had a lot of people come downtown. A lot of people stopped by Fife. We were one of the central locations where the bikers rode by.
Yeah.
So a lot of people were here for that. We've been blessed with several of the soccer tournaments, people coming into town. So this has been our busiest summer, even above and beyond our first year being open. This is the busiest we've been.
I'm sure for you guys it's been a bit of a whirlwind, with all these things going on in your first year or 2 years of business. So let's take a minute, if we could, and let you guys give us a quick catch-up on your operations over the past 2 years. Things like, beer sales volume, where you started, and then how it's progressed to this summer in your second year, and maybe the best-selling beer styles and things like that. So let's just start wherever you want, a little kind of a 2-year progress report.
Okay.
Yeah, I think, starting out, our expectations were unknown as to what we thought were going to happen here. We thought we had something that would be very popular, and it has turned out to be that way. we've had some higher demand for lighter beers, less ABV beers. So I think this year if you look at our 12 beer menu, we have the lowest ABV per beer in total than we've ever had. I looked the other day, there's like 8 beers, 6.2 or under.
Okay.
So we've kind of adapted to that. Our Charleston beer, Kolsch, Charlie West continue to be very high-selling beers, along with the Summer Street and the Blood Orange. And so we've just kind of evolved with the market. We've produced way more sours than I thought we had intended to earlier.
That was a big surprise for both of us.
Is that right? Yeah.
Yes.
So we're talking, like soured up kettle sours, like often a wheat beer that's soured.
Correct.
With fruit added. These are fruited usually. I think,
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've probably done 10 or 12 of those since we opened. And so,
And they're consistently good sellers for you?
oh, yes, they sell out very fast.
We're actually getting ready to can those in August. Our passion
time
fruit
we can.
sour will be the first one that we can.
Oh, wow. That's exciting.
Yes.
Yeah.
When you talk about beer styles, so I know you have some beers that are full-time beers that are on tap all the time, and certainly they're going to sell more than the beers that you just have for a month, or a specialty product that's just out for even a couple of weeks before it's gone, small batch stuff. But so among those full-time beers, which ones of those do you think have been your most popular consistently?
Yeah, consistently, Charleston beer sells the best.
And let's explain Charleston beer, because that doesn't really say what style it is.
Yeah, it's a golden ale.
Yeah.
Just a very drinkable, no matter what time of year it is. I think people come in and see golden ale written up there on the shoebox end, and that's what they tend to order. A lot of people don't understand what a Kolsch is.
Yeah.
So when they get the Kolsch that we have, straight Kolsch Homie is the name of it. Little play on words.
Sure.
Thank
is.
you, Randy Moss.
Yeah.
But people really like it when they try it. They're just unsure of what a Kolsch is.
Yeah, and a lot of times Kolsch or a golden ale are kind of lager substitutes, because a lot of small breweries don't have a whole lot of space, and they don't have time to tie up tanks for 5 or 6 weeks.
Exactly.
With a lager beer, and so they use those quick turnaround beers like your golden ale and Kolsch takes a little longer, because it's lagered a little bit itself, but not as long typically as a regular lager. But I just think those are lighter styles, easier drinking styles, especially probably good for summer. So do you see an uptick in any of that in
Yes,
warm months?
especially the Kolsch,
Yeah,
because it is such a lighter beer and drinkable.
right.
Charlie West, our West Coast style IPA.
And that's the one you have all year round.
That's a
And that's my
year-rounder as
favorite.
well.
All right. IPA drinker over here, Lisa.
And then the Chuck's P51 Porter, which has won a couple medals at beer festivals.
Yeah, I've come across that at the festivals, and seen that, like especially this year at Foam at the Dome. I think it was the
Number one
the
beer.
top beer there that was in the judging. That's cool. Well,
Yeah.
congratulations
Thank
to
you.
you guys.
It won
Yes.
at Rails and Ales 2 years ago, and Foam at the Dome this year.
Yeah.
Nice.
And those are our 4 plus the Kolsch, 5 main beers that we generally have year round. And if something would happen and one of them would run out, it's immediate where people say, "Hey, where's the Charleston beer? Hey, where's the Kolsch?" So that's
So
why we
we've
keep
done
those
something
on.
interesting with the Kolsch this year, because during regatta and during all of this, we were making beer as fast as we could. There was a period of time where we were down for like 2 days. We actually took the Kolsch, added a dill kosher style pickle to it, and called it a Morgantown Martini. Put a little bit of pickle juice in it, and people love it.
I saw that on the menu, and I'm afraid to try it, but I wondered what it was.
It's delicious. It really is.
I'm not
It's-
a pickle
You have
person,
to
so
like
no.
I was
dill
going to say,
pickles.
you have to like,
Yeah.
and I definitely am a dill pickle person, so.
Yeah, we have some of our friends that just love those pickle beers, and
Mm-hmm.
have even gone to Pittsburgh for their pickle fest or whatever they call that, and they have pickle beer up there too. Anyway, yeah, it's become a popular little specialty and fun product. You see a lot of small breweries making
Yeah.
pickle beers. Well, now let's while we're on pickles, we're talking about food. You guys are also full blown pub with a menu. Talk about your food menu, and also again, what are some of the more popular items that people can find here?
Well, of course, we have the artisan grilled cheese sandwiches, which are the special grilled cheese. We buy the bread from Charleston Bakery, and so that's delivered either daily or every other day. We had a special. It was the Yugata Ricotta during Regatta.
I had that one just last week or so because I missed Regatta.
Right, so we took ricotta cheese. We bought our tomatoes, the heirloom tomatoes from the farmer's market. Of course, we have the local Charleston bread, and we added basil, and it was absolutely delicious. Absolutely delicious. It's going off, and John told me last night the new one we're making. It's a lemon. It sounded like Monticello. I'm not a cook, so I don't really.
Me neither.
Limoncello. I've had it, and it's absolutely delicious.
Yeah, just keep Derek and Lisa out of the kitchen, guys.
Yes, keep us in
Not
the
for
beer.
me.
Keep us in the brewery.
But the people love the grilled cheese. They love the nachos. I mean, the intention was to have food for folks that would stick around and drink a couple more beers, and I think we've exceeded that. People come for lunch. People come usually like on a Sunday after church and whatever activity for that whole day. We'll sell more food that day than we will beer.
Yeah.
So a lot of people come for the food as well.
Well, I don't
But
wanna-
we also have salads. We
sure,
forget about
sure.
that for the people who want something lower calorie. We have a forest floor salad, which is kale and canned pecans and green apples. It's really good. We have a watermelon salad. So, yeah, we have a lot of different options. We have a Greek salad. I had that the other night. Extra banana peppers. Mwah, delicious.
Well, I don't want to spend too much time on food since this is a beer podcast. But hey, I haven't talked to you guys in a podcast since you did the beer dinner back in the winter, and that was fabulous. It was your first time doing a beer and food pairing dinner, and I talked to John, your manager, general manager. John, give me
Query.
Yes,
John Query.
John Query, and he mentioned that he's thinking about planning another beer and food pairing dinner. So that sounded great, and I'm hoping that happens. So.
Absolutely. We're actually meeting as a group on Sunday in a couple of weeks so that we can discuss things that we can do, some different options, and we're going to do some brainstorming. But that's one of the things we absolutely want to do. The goal is to possibly do one every quarter.
Yeah, that's aggressive, but
that is
I'd
aggressive.
I'd love to see it. Yeah, I love those.
Yeah,
things.
and the problem is we have to close the brewery in order to do it.
yeah.
But it's Sunday evenings, 7 o'clock, it's doable because people love it. So
That's exciting.
Yeah, I think we were well pleased with the reception from the beer pairing dinner. There was a lot of people asking for it. And I think the plan is I can't remember what the number was we limited it to last time, but to expand it a little bit more, have a few more people here, and do it at least semi-annually. It's hard to do it in the summer just because we're just so crowded in the summer all the time.
Well, sure. Yeah, you're crowded all the time anyway. Especially, the weekends. It seems, and certain nights of the week when you do events, and this place is always packed. We'll get into that a little more in a bit, though.
Yeah, we just have a lot of people that call us wanting events like this Saturday, the Live Golf event that's at the Greenbrier in a couple weeks. Live Golf, the national organization's coming in and taking over our brewery on Saturday.
Wow,
They're passing out
Sweet.
Live Golf paraphernalia. They're going
Nice.
to raffle off tickets. They're going to do a bunch of stuff. So, and we get a lot of people like that want to do things at the brewery that unexpectedly, like that happened 2 weeks ago. So it's kind of hard to plan a dinner because we have so many people wanting to do that kind of stuff in the summer.
Well, you guys have certainly covered a lot of territory since you opened. You've done so much to bring new life to this section of downtown. I'm sure there have been a lot of lessons learned along the way. What about you, Derek? Anything that stands out along the way?
We had such extensive planning. People have asked us, what would you do differently? And there's not a whole lot that I think we would do differently. I think the brewery itself has been self-sustaining and kind of what we envisioned. We talked beforehand, before we opened it, and she asked me the question, how do you think Fife Street fails? And I said, only if the beer sucks. And
Well, that would hurt.
And
yes.
it doesn't. And so we've been very popular with those kind of things. I've been pleasantly surprised at just the sustainability of the downtown area here. Having Short Story here has been helpful, and the growth down here and the number of people that come down on a regular basis, I think, exceeded my expectations of what we would expect down here.
Oh, sure.
One of the things that you guys out there in Radio Land can't hear or see, but Derek has a Brewers Row shirt on. And one of the things that we really wanted to concentrate on was making a Brewers Row here with several more breweries. Of course, there's, Bad Shepherd, us, and we have Short Story. We've contacted several other brewers to try to get them to come into the area. So if you listeners out there know anyone who would like to open a brewery along Summer Street or the area, please contact me, because I would love to talk to them and show them around. And
So, in terms of running a small brewery, are there any other lessons learned along the way about running a small brewery that you might communicate to others you may recruit, or if anyone who's interested in coming into the area has questions about?
I think the main thing for people, and we were similar to this, was the food question. Do you have food? Do you have something for people to eat? And everybody that we discussed with before we opened, subsequently opened, says you absolutely need to have some kind of food. And I think that's the biggest struggle for most new opening breweries is how do we tackle food, having it available. One of our first things was we weren't going to have any food, but we were going to have a relationship with everybody around here where they could deliver food in. And it just became that mushroom where we really need food. And my number one piece of advice would be for somebody to, number one would be go find a good brewer that can brew your beer. Number two is, make your tap room entertaining and fun. And number three, make sure you have some food for people. And I think that's the main advice I would give to people. Not surprising to us because we kind of thought all that through and kind of bit that off before we started. For us, the biggest probably mistake we made is not to have enough fermenter brewing space.
that's a good one.
We doubled our capacity 3 months into the
Pretty quickly.
opening Fife, and we're looking at possibly adding some more. Just because, like Lisa mentioned earlier, during Regatta, we were down 3 or 4 beers. That's how we kind of came up with the Morgantown Martini, just because we just can't brew beer fast enough. We have some demand for distributors, but we just can't offer it to them because we have to brew it so fast here.
Well, guys, let's look ahead to the next couple of months. What are you going to be brewing? What's upcoming? Any events here in the next month or so? Let's wrap up the summer. Anything coming out here? Things you're going to be doing?
I actually asked this question to our brewer because I knew you were going to ask this. And he said that very shortly we're going to have I Plead the Fife. It's an Imperial Double IPA, and that'll be before or around August 1st.
Oh, boy.
And then we're going to have that Passion Fruit Sour, which we're going to be canning, and it's in nice, shiny pink cans. So that's going to stand out. And we're also going to have a black IPA.
Oh, yum.
So you asked about trends earlier, and Derek's right. People want the lower ABV beers or no ABV. It seems like the not the millennials, but whoever the younger people are. What are
Gen
they?
Z.
Gen Zs. Yes, they want no, either low or no. And so on the other extreme is they want the high ABVs. So.
Yeah, that is kind of a weird dichotomy, that you've seen. And it's not just you, it's the brewing industry and craft, small brewers across the country. You hear them talking. I mean, there are brewers that specialize just in high ABV beers because of that very fact that people want them. And a lot of breweries don't make many. You might have 1 or 2, on your taps at one time. It's interesting to see how the market has bifurcated and kind of splits that up. I'm glad to hear that you're experiencing that because I didn't know that.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the national market, people are brewing hard teas and no carb beers and other things like that. And we're not ready to experiment with that kind of stuff, but we like to try to hear what people like and offer to us and try to help them as much as possible. We're going to experiment with a new golden ale and try to have it. We're going to put it in our 1-barrel system and see how that produces and see if we can have some variation of that.
Yeah. So will that be maybe in hopping or something? I mean, that's going to be the difference, the hopping?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so Gil and Connor are putting their heads together and trying to figure that and put that in the 1-barrel system here in the next 2 or few weeks and see if that can come out and have another staple beer for that as well. So, and we'll have a couple variations of the sour coming up too.
Okay, yeah.
Well, no brewery, large or small, can be successful without a well-coordinated group of employees, both front of the house and behind the scenes in the brewery and the kitchen. If you could talk a little bit about the staffing challenges and how you've handled it, starting with the front of the house, what's been your key to success there?
Okay, so you're talking about challenges, and I only have praises. So we did a job fair when we first opened, and we still have maintained 90% of our employees.
Wow.
That's incredible.
Which it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. I heard an employee night before last. I was sitting at the bar, and she was talking about how she thought that the employees had grown and how she thought Fife has come a long way and how everybody gets along. And I hate to say Fife family. It just sounds good. We've kind of stopped using that, but they have each other's back. They take each other's shifts. I mean, they make it work. I mean, John Query is a fantastic general manager. Cody is our assistant manager, and he does a great job. Dylan Burkhammer backs them up. We have Gil, the brewer, Connor. We have our cooks that just step in and help load beers when they're distributing. They just do a fantastic job. We've had a couple of little tiny issues where we've had to let people go, but it's been challenges that everybody faces.
Sure.
No shows for work, but only a couple.
Sounds like the key to your success has been staffing.
Yes.
Which is
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
positive.
After hours last night, I was sitting down here, and one of our beer tenders said, I'm just proud to be a part of this culture and the change that we've made in Charleston. And I think that's permeated through our staff, and that's why the majority of them are still here.
And as you know, Charles and I have had your head brewer, Gil Peterson, on the show a couple of times to learn about his brewing philosophy. We've learned that he brings a lot of knowledge and experience to the table. What do you see as his strengths, and how has he brought Fife's brewing program to where it is today?
So Gil number one, he's a hard worker. He works hard at home when he is trying to come up with the grains and the hops and everything he wants to buy. He puts the beers together based on what we have. He can take challenges and level them out and just make everything work. He has 2 children. So he's been here. We've been open, 2 years? Two and a half years. He has 2
months.
children, and he is very sleep deprived, but he's still making amazing beer.
Yeah, I think what Lisa said, he's very good at visionarying things that just small changes to beer that still make a big flavor taste change, and using our product with what we have, grains and hops, and changing those a little bit and he's pretty visionary about making different kinds of beers, and he's very organized, has a really good brewing schedule. He lays it out 4 or 5 months in advance. And so he's very regimented on that, and he's mastered his craft. And if he makes something that's not very good, he dumps it. I mean, he's very perfectionary from that standpoint as well.
That's great.
He has a nose and a taste like I've never seen before. I don't know if this has ever been shared, but when we were interviewing him, one of the home brewers met us at a local restaurant and brought in one of their home brews and had him taste it, and he nailed every ingredient. Isn't that right, Derek?
Yeah.
We were so impressed. And the home brewer, I won't say his name, was very impressed.
Oh, I'm sure.
Oh, it was unbelievable. And we're like, okay, you have the job.
Well, beyond making good beer, you got to have people and a program that can sell it. A lot of times you see a lot of breweries that make very good beer that have struggle a little bit on the marketing side, and that's not because it's just not their expertise. And I guess they didn't bring in somebody that could help them. So, how did you guys set the stage? And for that, you do training programs. I mean, how do you run the sales side so that people know about the beers, explain the beers, try the beers, sample to your customers? I mean, how do you sell to them?
Well, that's where we need to bring in our partners, Jody Driggs and Josh Dodd. Jody is a partner at Silling Associates, the architect, and he's a wealth of knowledge and knows a lot of people in Charleston. So he and his wife Rachel and their family, they are all in. They love Fife. They love Charleston. They are both from St. Albans, and so they walk and talk Fife Street. We give Jody a lot of credit because our tap room and our building would not look like this without him. And then Josh, oh my gosh, I've known him since he was in high school, but he owns a web design company, and he handles our social media, our web design, our branding, our merchandise, which we have new merchandise, by the way, people. We'll talk about that maybe in a minute. Our glasses, he is constantly being bombarded, both he and his wife, Kristen, who handles our...
She's heads up our charity program from
Yes.
where we donate 10% of our proceeds to charity each year.
Right.
I think for our staff, all of our staff are Cicerone certified, so they're able to talk beer when people come in. They're able to steer people one way or another once they get into the tap room from that standpoint. So that's helpful. We heavily use social media. One of our servers started a TikTok, and I guess it's very popular. I'm not on TikTok, but apparently that's been getting a lot of views and bringing people in, and we use it to promote our events, promote our beer, just like the ways of the world. I mean, we use our website, and we try to communicate and promote as much through that as possible for beers and events as well.
Well, Lisa, I agree with you when you mentioned Josh and Jody. And one thing I notice about them that I'm impressed with is that they're out in some of the other breweries sampling beers. They're trying to learn about beers. They're seeing what's in the market. They're listening to what people say. And I think that's such a big part. It's not telling the story as much as it is you've got to listen to learn a story. And I think those guys are doing that. And I've been impressed when I see not only you two, but also your other business partners out in the market doing, market research, I'd call it.
Yeah,
Oh,
we
but
get to jokingly, if I'm at Short Story, I'll have somebody go, "What are you doing over here?" kind of thing. And I'm like, "Hey, we love Short Story and we like to sample. We always go down to Black Sheep and sample and talk to Ross and Bad Shepherd. We go see Kenny Grayley occasionally and
Yeah.
go over and talk to him. He was over here a couple weeks ago, I guess, and we were talking to him about beer. So we like to sample, see what's out in the market, and also support everybody around us as well.
Okay, guys, I think it's time to sample another beer ourselves here. So what's beer number 2 today? Introduce it for us, if you would, Derek. Or Lisa, whichever.
I'll take this one. This is a Chemical Valley Haze, which everybody knows I'm an IPA girl, so it is a hazy IPA. It's a 6.4 ABV. It's a New England hazy. You're going to notice a strong grapefruit in the beginning when you take a drink, and then it's going to finish with an orange taste.
Yeah, it has. I get some of that citrusy and orange in the nose and before I even took a drink.
Yeah, so this is our hazy IPA, which Derek teases me all the time. You're in love with hazy IPAs, and that's not true. I like all
That is
200
true.
styles of
That's
IPAs.
true. Yeah. That's why she likes to go into Short Story.
Yeah. Short Story is just almost next door, their tap room, and they tend to have 4 to 6, 7 IPAs on tap at one time.
Yep.
So that's their thing.
Yep, they're great at it.
Yeah.
It's also a good tasting summer beer.
Yeah, I think the fruitiness and certainly the lower bitterness makes this beer very drinkable for people who aren't necessarily into the traditional IPA or the West Coast IPA, which you also have a good one.
Yeah.
But Yeah, I mean, it broadens the market, certainly, for this kind of beer.
Right.
And for those of you that have lived here a number of years and remember the chemical companies that
Chemical Valley.
lived here and made a haze over the city of Charleston, it's our homage to them. So
Chemical Valley Haze. There you go.
Well, that's another thing, and that probably fits in with the marketing before we leave that I like about this place is the beer names. I mean, it's always fun, and it's a struggle sometimes to come up with a cool beer name because they've all been used or, who knows.
Right.
But you guys have come up with some pretty cool beer names that relate to the local area or have some connection to West Virginia or Charleston, Kanawha Valley. And I like that.
That's
That-
our
yeah,
goal.
that's our first launching pad. If we can come up with a beer name that has something to do with Charleston or the area, we'll try to name it after that. Secondarily, we have a lot of staff members that are musicians and write music and write words to music and are very creative with
Sure.
things they come up with. Some of them are R-rated and we can't use them.
We've had to nix several.
Yeah.
I imagine they're amusing there.
But they get an extreme chuckle. I mean, they're very funny. But they're very good at naming things and coming up with secondary names if we can't find something for the area.
Well, we kind of touched on this a little bit earlier in the podcast, but next, I want to know your all's opinion on, it's been very impressive this summer with all of the events that you all talked about that the city has hosted or sponsored, and it seems like they've done a really good job at bringing business to downtown. So, what's your opinion on that? Can you elaborate a little bit more than you already have?
Well, I need to go back and talk about some more events that are happening this summer. Not only do we have trivia on Tuesdays and we have music on Wednesdays, occasionally we have music on Fridays or Saturdays, but City Center at Slack Plaza, the park across the street, they are having this summer Thursday night. They're either having line dancing, family night, and then on Sundays they're having a concert. And so all these start at 7:00. There's a couple I looked at that start at 4:30, but you can go on the site and find it. They're amazing. I went Sunday night, and they did storytellers. So I think they had like 4 musicians up there that wrote their own songs, and they were storytelling songs. It was fabulous. So people had a Poda cup, and they were sitting around, lots of families and friends just hanging out. So that's been amazing.
Yeah, I think before Fife started, we used to always tell people, hey, there's things to do in Charleston. You're just not looking hard enough. But even now, there is an extreme amount of things going on. Like Art Walk was last Thursday. We found 2 venues with music and also City Center Live. So we had 3 live musicians in one evening. So Lisa said it earlier, the mayor, Amy, has done just a fantastic job. She's very economic driven, and so she's brought a lot of events to Charleston. I recently joined the board of Arts Amplified here in Charleston, and the goal is to try to get musicians known, artists known, and provide a venue for them to show their value and what their art skills are, whether it be music or art or whatever it may be. And so we have a small part of that and try to get people to be involved in that as well out of Fife. And so there's just a lot going on between the cycling, and there's just a lot of events and they all kind of center around the Slack Plaza in this area.
And to follow up on that, I don't mean to interrupt you,
Oh,
Erin,
you're good.
but to find out the concerts and what's going on across the street, it is artsamplifiedwv.com. So that'll tell you exactly who's playing.
Yeah, and location-wise, that's got to be fantastic in terms of the brewery. And, obviously people are going to naturally wander into the brewery because location. But do you do anything special to bring business into the brewery when there are big events like that specifically to try to draw people into specifically your brewery rather than Short Story and or Bad Shepherd?
Just for instance, we're going to work with Short Story on this. We have Brewers Road cards that we have and we've passed out for the last year. But Friday, we're coming out with a special Olympics card. And so you can go around and get your gold medal from different breweries. So we try to see what events are around and try to promote those. We did some, when the cycling event was here, we had 2 beers that were named after cycling things, the Broom Wagon.
And the sticky bottle.
So for those that don't know what that is, the Broom Wagon is the very last vehicle that sweeps up the very slow bikers and gets them off the road. And so we
And the
named it
sticky
that.
bottle is the illegal thing you're not supposed to do, where your person can drive in a car and hand you a bottle of water. You hold on to the bottle of water just a few seconds, which gives your legs a rest while you're coasting.
While the car carries you.
Called sticky bottle.
Never heard that before.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we try to center some beers and events around
To try to
whatever
attract
events in
business.
Charleston.
Yeah, because I was even wondering, when they do all the levee area, which do some really big events and have been a major part of some of those festivals that we've had this summer. Up on what we call the levee, it's the riverfront, but that's a couple blocks away. Do you feel you get a spillover? Do people come from those events up on the levee? Or do you do anything to work with the folks to let them know you're here? Because a lot of people come into town that may not know you're even a business.
Well, we do social media, of course. So our Facebook and Instagram is huge, and so they can see that. We advertise that, things about the levee. But also what we do is people will come after work on Friday at like 5 and just stay till they go to the concert till at like 7. And so, and they'll take a 4-pack with them.
Oh,
Yeah.
to go, yeah.
Yeah, to go.
Yeah, and we try to be respectful of the city. I mean, they use those venues and events to make money for themselves, and so we try not to have a huge advertising presence down there. But, people come for POTAs, people come for 4-packs.
Wow.
Derek and I are all about holding hands and singing Kumbala and everybody getting along and
Not really singing, but
well, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
physically.
I mean, I haven't seen, like, on the levee area, you guys have a beer booth up there, even
do
though they're
not.
selling beer up there all the time.
Yeah, and
Where
that's
we
part
won't do that.
deference to
Okay.
the city.
Sure.
I mean, they make their money as well and need the revenue, especially during regatta and things like that. So we're all about selling out of our venue. If people take a POTA down there, that's fine. If not, then they can enjoy beer down there.
Well, speaking of POTA, how is POTA doing for you as a business?
Whoever we are buying our plastic cups from, it's the entire
keep up.
they can't keep up. Either.
Oh, gosh.
It's that for a
That's
while
challenging.
they were back ordered. So, yes,
And these are the special plastic cups. What are they, 16, 20 ounce? I forget.
16 ounce.
16 ounce
16
cups
Yeah.
that are branded POTA. And it's the only cup you can pour beer into that a person can leave your bar and take it out across town with.
right.
Yeah.
Something that has helped that we haven't talked about, which is an event, is Art Walk is coming back. It's coming back bigger and better. There is a committee that has been working on making it better because it was kind of dying. And so they had Art Walk last Thursday, and Derek and I participated. We had so much fun. We bought flowers on the way to Kim Rossi's new, I can't remember the name of it. I apologize, Kim. But they had a band playing there. It was amazing. And people had POTA cups. She allows people to bring them in. So what that means is they can buy a cup from Fife Street and take it into Short Story or to Kim's Place or to Adelphia
Or an art gallery that
or
is on the
As long
POTA
as they're
list.
participating.
Yeah.
or a retail shop like Taylor
Right.
Books
Right.
or any of those. It's just fantastic. And so I encourage you listeners also to get out on Art Walk. It's the third Thursday of every month.
Yeah, so POTA was so successful that we ordered and purchased a portable kegerator that we wheel out on our patio area. It has 4 kegs that are allowed to be sold out of there. And so if people are coming for a POTA beer, we try to tell them to go over there and get it instead of coming up and clogging up
Sure.
our tap room.
Well, guys, with business going so well here at Fife Street Brewing, I'm really wondering if you're thinking about expansion plans. What's on your mind? Thoughts about maybe not necessarily an additional brewery, but if you can't make enough beer, then you can't sell more beer, or just a new tap room. I mean, any thoughts on that? How's that going?
Well, Charles, you're really stirring the pot, so I'm going to let Derek take this, okay?
I mean, obviously, our number one focus is to make Fife the best brewery experience that you can find in Charleston, and we'll continue to enhance that with events and beer and fun things around here for people in Charleston. We've been approached a number of times from a number of people around the state about opening another location, and it is something that we are interested in some form. We've had some preliminary meetings this summer regarding it. I think there is a lot of interest amongst the owners and Gil about opening some type of bigger production facility, tap room, brewery. It has to be the right location. It has to be the right situation. We spent 2 years looking for this location. So I think what people fall into the trap is trying to get too big too quick and get ahead of themselves and not make a plan. But we would certainly love and welcome an opportunity to open at a new location if it was the right space, and
Sure.
We're certainly open to that. But again, our focus is to make this the best experience that you can find in Charleston and expand on that as well.
Well, Derek, I agree with you 100% on the idea that you don't want to move too fast. I mean, some people, expand too quickly, and that tends to be a downfall at times if the market doesn't go along with them.
Well, the brewing business, as we've just discussed, seems to be quite healthy across the state right now. We still have new breweries opening and some new ones in the planning stages too. What other West Virginia breweries impress you the most in particular, and why?
Oh, that's a good
We
question.
can take these individually.
I still love Chestnut Brewing with a Halleck.
Yes.
It's so good.
Yep.
We've always loved Weathered Ground.
Oh, Sam, yes.
they
Sam
were-
and Aaron.
Very appreciative of their openness when we were starting our brewery ideas, with expanding upon what they did right, what they did wrong. Love that. We actually have talked about taking a tour here in the fall over in the Eastern Panhandle. There's a lot of those breweries from Morgantown over that we've never visited. Met them at some of the beer festivals, but never found our way to their tap rooms and stuff like that we'd like to go and visit them and see. We like to try to see as many tap rooms as we can, not only to just see what they're doing, we can get ideas from them as well. And
For sure.
And they're our friends.
Sure.
yeah,
Brewery owners and workers and brewers, and it's like one big family. It really is. They're just all friends. It's like we're not even competing. It's an amazing business.
yeah. Recently I have a acquaintance friend that's talking about possibly entering into the brewery world, and so very preliminary, but I was very forthright with him for a couple hours and
Sure.
told him what we did right, what we did wrong, and that's exactly what Sam did for us, and I'm happy to share with anybody else if that would ever occur to them as well.
Well, that's one thing that we've heard, I think, pretty consistently as we've done these podcasts over the years. And that's that the West Virginia Brewery family is just that. And they help each other, and it's not an overly competitive environment. It's just we want to all succeed. And that's fantastic. And I'm glad that you guys have had that experience and are willing to share that experience with, new prospective brewers.
Yep, absolutely.
Well, Derek and Lisa Godwin of Fife Street Brewing here on Summer Street in downtown Charleston, thank you for chatting with us today on West Virginia Beer Roads, and best of luck in your future endeavors.
Thank you.
And it's a pleasure when we just see you all around town in Fife and Short Story, just knowing that you guys are out there promoting craft beer industry as well. So thank you to you all for your promotion of the beer industry here in
Yes.
West Virginia.
Kudos to you. I really appreciate it. You do a great job.
We always enjoy talking with you.
Absolutely. Thank you. This brings us to the close of another podcast. Remember, you can subscribe on Apple, Spotify, or your favorite podcast host. Thank you for listening to West Virginia Beer Roads.
West Virginia Beer Roads is a production of BrilliantStream.com.